everyone. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about communication needs for students with severe disabilities. And just to open up, just wanted to mention obviously that communication is a really important skill for all of us. It allows us to learn from each other. It allows us to have control over our environment. It allows us to share feelings between people, and probably one of the most important things is it gives us the opportunity to develop friendships, which we all know that kids with severe disabilities oftentimes have a difficult time doing. For students with the most severe disabilities, they have a really difficult time even expressing their most basic needs, and the ability to express those basic needs requires a significant effort on their part, as well as the part of those of us on the receiving end, because we are making an attempt to try and assess what they're trying to communicate to us, which sometimes is difficult. Almost everyone does communicate, and while individuals with severe disabilities may not have full access to or full control over the many different ways that most people express themselves, we still need to find ways for them to do that. And by the many different ways that I'm referring to, that could be, in addition to speech, that could be facial expressions, body language, that nonverbal language, and anything in text or print. To make an assumption that because the individual with a severe disability does not talk and oftentimes has a really hard time even expressing what their needs are in other ways besides oral communication, to make an assumption that they cannot communicate is very dangerous, and by doing so it really dehumanizes them, and it places them in a very vulnerable position by being, just by the nature of the fact that they're so dependent on other people to have to communicate for them, and that dependency, it really depends on the individual on the receiving end as to how they best understand that individual, and we need to make sure that we understand them so we're communicating what they're trying to say to us. It's really the responsibility of all of us as educators, as well as any other person or individual that's involved in that student's life, to help them by encouraging them through motivation. I also think it's really important that as educators we have very high expectations for the students with severe disabilities, and let them know in whatever means we can to ensure them that they are a valued member of society. When we talk about communication, simply put, this is the exchange of a message between a sender and a receiver, and that message needs to be understood by the individual. Besides the social aspect of communication, communication requires three things. One, a form, which is the way to send the message. Two, content, which is something to talk about. And three, it has to have a reason or purpose for being communicated. There's no real one correct way to communicate, although in our society obviously we tend to use oral communication as probably one of the primary forms, but in reality that's one form of communication, and certainly we need to open the doors to allow people that are not able to communicate orally to find their means of communication so that they could be a part of society.